You're tuned in to The Thinking Class with Lawrence D. Adams. Let's go. Salute everyone. This is Lawrence D. Adams. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Happy Friday to everyone. If you can hear me loud and clear, let me know in the chat room. You can hear me loud and clear in the chat room. Salute to everyone.
Execute order 66. Execute order 66.
What's going on? What's going on, Lawrence? What's going on? Good to see everyone. Good to see you. Good to see the people in the chat room. I'm trying to get my collar right, but it ain't collaring it. My collar is just acting funny. I don't like that, but shout out to everyone. What's going on? I'm actually looking at you guys right now. Today we're talking about you must be number one in your world. I was trying to think all week on how I was going to approach this subject, and I was going to name it something else, but I kept at the last minute. I was talking to my mother, and she was telling me about her trip. And let me fix my collar. Collar's bothering me. Yeah, I might just take this off. Yeah, I think I might just take this off. Let the guns out for a minute. And I was talking to my mother, and she was telling me about her trip. And I said, "Wow, that was a good trip. Wow." She was just telling me all the things that went on, and it hit me. The thought came, not the thought, but the actual title came to me that fast, and it was, you must be number one in your world. Now, I had a whole different subject. I had a whole different title in mind, but you wouldn't have got it. So so as I'm explaining this, let me give the backdrop to it. The backdrop is, everyone has heard of the golden rule. The golden rule is, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Everybody has heard that rule. Do unto others as you would want others to do unto you. And I thought about that all week. I was turning around in my mind and in my imagination on, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. Then it hit me, wait a minute, there's something more to that. And I said, could we say, as we do unto ourselves is how other people do unto us? Let me say that again. As we do unto ourselves is how others do unto us. I'm gonna let that sink in, let you grasp it, let you chew on it, let you bite on that, let you think about that. How you treat yourself is how others treat you. Let me say that again. How you treat yourself is how others treat you. How you value yourself, how you deal with yourself is how others deal with you. So as I was thinking about that concept this week, and I was thinking of some examples, and I think about what's going on in the landscape when it comes to this whole, especially just being the men's channel, how important it is that men, you must be number one in your world. Men have been conditioned and trained to be utilities when it comes to this world or when it comes to this life. And what I mean by utilities, that means that you've been trained that you are supposed to forsake yourself for the better good of those around you. Now, I have nothing against that. I think is noble. It is important. But I realize the men who win at life, who win at what we call this thing called life, know how to put themselves first. Now, in the advent of people using the word narcissist all the time without them being therapists who can clinically call someone narcissist, they need to put that to the side. The most important thing that you can do, especially as a man, is learn how to be number one in your life or in your world. And why would you say that? Because everyone is trying to take that position in your life. Second of all, you are no good to anyone else if you're not taking care of yourself. Let me stop right there. You are no good to no one else if you're not taking care of who you are. So you got to be number one in your life. Does that mean that you neglect other people? No. That means that you have your priorities correct. Actually, you have your priorities straight, and you realize that my health, my wealth, my well-being, my purpose is important. And I'm gonna give some later on why you should do that. I get up every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I go work out. Why? Because my health and my well-being is very important. So I got to go out there and I hit the gym. I ain't hitting it for 5 hours. I'm not in there. I'm at least in there for an hour. I get on the elliptical and I do the running. Why? Because my health, I realize, is part of my wealth. I have to make sure the priority is that I am in good mental, spiritual, and physical health. That must be number one. How is it that you're going to be able to help someone else if you're not putting yourself in the right place in your life? If you constantly running around, you neglect who you are, you neglect taking care of yourself, you neglect going places that you know you need, you just neglecting yourself. You are no good to anyone else. It's just plain and simple. And I think a lot of men are starting to wake up and realize, let me make sure I get my house in order before I bring somebody else to my house. That can be figuratively or that can be literally. A lot of men, and the first thing you must do is you must put yourself first. I know everyone is pulling your attention. Take everything off the pedestal. Take that woman off the pedestal. Take that money off the pedestal. Take that job off the pedestal. Take that off the pedestal. You're no good to a job. You're no good to a woman. You're no good to the money if you're not taking care of yourself or you're not putting yourself first. I done seen in the past, but about a month or so, coworker pass away. Why? He was taking care of everything around him, but he neglected to take care of his health. Why are you saying that, LDA? This game doesn't work unless you put yourself first. And I'm gonna tell you how it comes to dating and how it comes to everything else. Give me a minute to build this foundation first. That's why it's so important that you take care of you. I know everyone is trying to pull your coattail. Come over here, do this, fix this. If you do not, I gotta emphasize this. You gotta take care of your health, and you gotta make sure your business is in order. This week, I've been taking care of business. I make sure my insurance is together. I make sure I got my blood work done. Why am I doing all of that? Make sure my house is in order. I'm number one. I'm number one. Why am I doing that? Because I believe that I am number one. And when you believe that you're number one, you're going to do things that prove that you're number one. No one wants to deal with a loser. And for the guys who like the game part of it, no one wants to deal with a man who don't got his stuff together. I could have said it another way. But when you become number one in your life, you become automatically attractive. No woman, let me say this, wants to deal with a man who is number two. The world does not even reward a person who views themselves as number two. When you are number two or you view yourself as number two, what happens is the world begins to shun you and begin to treat you like crap. That's why you have to value your time, your attention, your attention, and everything else around you. When you're number one, when you put yourself back in the proper position in your life, then you will see everything else will begin to fall in place. The problem when it comes, say, in the dating arena is men and women, when they put the other person first, the other person, guess what? When you, as Joe, put the other person first, guess what happens? They stop liking you. The attraction goes. But the moment they were attracted to you because, as we said over many times in this place, get you on your purpose or you're doing what you're designed to do. That's what attract people. That's what attracted that woman, because you put what you thought and what you think is important first and not them. It's a story that was said, I read in a book years ago, about a man who the war was going on and he had a wife and he was debating, should he stay back home or should he stay with his wife? And he decided to go ahead and go to the war, and he ended up coming back. But if that man would have chosen to stay with his wife, guess what would have happened? The level of respect that she had for him would have dwindled and went down, because he had nothing bigger for her to walk into. When you put yourself first or you make yourself number one, you have a world that someone else can come into. And your world runs whether that person is there, whether that thing is there, whether money's there, whether you have everything together. It runs no matter what's going on because it's your world. The problem is, as shout out to China White and some other people I listened to this week. The problem is a lot of people and a lot of men have been tricked and duped, bamboozled in believing in that they must get into somebody else's world. No, no, no. The goal is for you to be in your world and to do the things that you do, and others come along into your world. How does it look if the sun, S-U-N, is trying to come in? What's going on, Wade? Well, how does it look if the sun is trying to come into the moon's world? That don't even make sense. How would it look if the sun was trying to come into the moon's world? Hey, moon, I'm just trying to be a part of your world. Because of how much intensity of heat that the sun has, it would actually burn up the moon. But that's what a lot of people do. Well, let me say this. That's what a lot of men do. They don't realize how much power they have as men, or just being a person, that you would decide to come into someone else's what? Orbit. Somebody trying to meet Carl trying to thank you. And that's the sad part. When you're number one in your life, let me say this, because this is the thing. When you place yourself as number one in your life, everyone else will begin to treat you as number one. Let me say that again, because y'all didn't get it. When you become number one in your life, everyone else will begin to treat you as number one in your life. The moment you take yourself off of the pedestal and you put anything else there, is the moment that you begin to lose in life, and people will begin to walk away. Let me say it another way. People only reflect who you are. If you are number one in your life, they will treat you as number one in your life. When you neglect to put yourself on the pedestal in your life. Now, this is not the pedestal that you are to worship and I think I'm the best. And no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the sense when you have a healthy love for yourself and who you are. Guess what happens? People will reflect that in your life. I've watched it too many times. I tested it out. That's why you must be number one. This is not to dog anybody else. Matter of fact, you don't dog anybody else. You don't even try to make anybody treat you as number one. Let me say that again. You don't need to have anybody treat you as number one. They're going to do it automatically because you are number one in your life. Because your whole mindset, your whole aura, your whole who you are is going to reflect that in the world. It's the simple thing. It's simple as this. People know, plain and simple, who they can get away with things with and who they not. Kids do that all the time. Oh, I bet not mess with that person. They crazy. Oh, why that? Because they know that you stand on business. That you stand on. This is who you are. But when you're number one in your life, catch this. It's easy for you to pour into someone else's life. When you're number one in your life and you're in a place of abundance in your mindset, it's easy for you to pour in someone else's life and not be fazed by it. But the moment you take your straw and you're trying to take everything from everyone else because you don't feel or you don't think that you're number one, guess what is going to happen? You deplete everyone around you. But when you're number one in your life, things begin to change. Yes, thank you so much. Framework must be strong. Just going, yeah. The framework must be strong. And this is the thing. The framework does not happen when you leave outside of your house or your apartment where you live at. The framework always happens where? Now I'm going to always emphasize this. It always happens in your imagination. It's when you realize, when you walk as you are number one and you treat yourself as you number one, people will begin to treat you as number one. What's going on, Tappy? What's going on, Tom? Wade, what's going on, y'all? Let me say that again. When you go into your imagination and you begin to treat yourself as number one and seeing others treat you out as number one, guess what happens? It's going to reflect. Good question. How do you practice in your imagination? You practice in your imagination. I'm gonna tell you what I do, but you decide what you're gonna do. Let me move this over. You practice in your imagination by what? Getting into a meditative state. And then you go in your imagination. I mean, remember I said the imagination is the playground of the what? Of the gods. So you go into your imagination and you see yourself as number one. You see people interacting with you as number one. You go through that scene, just a short scene. It doesn't have to be long. And you see that and you loop it and you loop it and you go over it. And then when you go out, people only reflect who you are. That's why they say you don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. When you realize that you are number one in your life, people will treat you as you're number one in your life. We've been doing it all the time. That's why you can't get on these YouTube streets where these women out here treating me this way. Anytime I hear guys complaining on YouTube, on Facebook, or Instagram, or anywhere else about how the women are treating them, or the women are talking about these men ain't treating me right, all I'm saying is what you're doing is you're getting data on how you don't view yourself. You're getting data on say, you know what? That's how that's how I view myself. So you go into your imagination and you go into your mind and you actually see yourself interacting or people. First, you see yourself treating yourself as number one. And you say, this is something that I want everybody to put in the chat room, because this right here is so important. Because a lot of men, this doesn't mean when I'm going to make this statement, I want you to really get this statement. This does not mean that you do not work to be better. This does not mean that you don't advance yourself, but I need you to get this one statement down in your mind. I want you to get this concrete in your mind right now. You need this right here has to be in your mind when if you're going to be number one in your world, you got to get this one statement deep down in your mind. And that statement is, I am enough. Let me say that again. I am enough. What's going on, Shalonda? Let me say that. You must give this statement in your mind. I know we need to improve, we need to work on things, but you need to give this one statement in your mind. I am enough. Thanks, Zach Vision. I am enough. This right here will when you're number one, you're going to say that I am enough. Everyone put that in the chat room. I got to get some water. I am enough. I am enough. Let me say that again. I am enough. When you really grasp this, I am enough. That's the name of my journey I published. I am enough. Wow, look at that. Confirmation right there. When you get that I am enough. So you're asking, how do I get to the place when I'm number one in my life? When you realize that I am enough. I am enough. You don't need to shuck and jive. You don't need for validation from people around you. You realize I am enough. What you see right here, I am enough. You must be number one in your life. I am enough. When you have that in your mindset that you are enough, what's going to happen is it's going to settle you down, and you realize that people around you will start to realize that you are enough. You're take this the thing that mess people why you don't not number one in your life. It takes the need and the one around you of trying to please and satisfy other people when you realize, oh, I am enough. I'm enough. If you can just get this part right here, this is the game that people ain't gonna talk about. When you realize that you are enough, I'm enough. This is the thing. You don't need to tell other people that you are enough. Catch what, please. You tell only yourself that you are enough. Let me say that again. You don't need to tell other people that I am enough. Who you need to convince that you are enough is only you. Let that simmer right there. Smell the aroma from that. You don't need to tell other people that, you know what, I know I'm enough. You only need to tell yourself and convince you that you are enough. When you convince yourself that you are enough, the world around you will begin to treat you as not as in an arrogant way, not in a negative way, but in the most positive way. They will treat you that you are enough. Then that's how you become number one. One of the ways you become number one in your world, that you are enough. This would help, Shalana, this will help a lot of women when they realize that they are enough. Not in a negative way, not in the pot chick, moving their heads like this. No, in a sense, I am enough. Not that we all don't have work to work on. We have things to adjust. We need to improve. But when you realize that you are enough, it changes who you deal with and how you deal with others. Let me get back to my point. My point is this: you must be number one in your world. That means you must make sure that you put the priority on you, not a narcissist. Don't buy into this whole narrative of this narcissist. Everybody's narcissist. How do you know somebody? Please. None of these people have not been clinically diagnosed as narcissists. Cut it out. People get catchphrases and they run with it, and they don't even know what it means. You ask them what they mean, they're like, I don't know. You just narcissist. It's a shaming tactic that people use on other people. They're narcissists. When you realize that you are enough, it doesn't bother you what people say or what they do. I'm enough. because I'm number one in my world. And the truth be told, if the truth be told, if the truth be told, you don't want to deal with life or anyone else who doesn't believe that they are enough. If you have to announce to other people that you are enough, it is a sure sign that you are not enough. If you got to tell everybody that you the man, you are not enough. If you're a woman, you got to go around and say, I'm independent, baby, you ain't independent. Anytime I hear people say, well, you know, I'm independent, or women say, I'm independent, I don't need no man, that's a sure sign to me. In my mind, I go, check, he ain't independent. If a man got to go around, you know, I'm the man, you know, I'm gangster, you know, I'm about that life, I do all these things, check, that ain't it. Your life should, you should whisper to yourself and other people reflect what you have whispered to you. When you are enough, the world will reflect you. Yeah, they do that word salads. Word is bond. When you don't do word is bond. When you don't do what you say you're going to do, your stock plummets. Correct. That's why it's so important that you be number one in your life. Let me emphasize it because I had to realize how important this was. I in the past put everyone else first and neglected me. What do you mean, LDA? I put everything else first and neglected myself. I neglected my health. I neglected my appearance. I neglected my mental state. I neglected my spiritual state. I neglected relationships. I neglected everything else because I was putting everything else first in my life but me. And gas, as my brother said, my stock plummeted. And I couldn't figure out what was going on in my life. It's because the story that I had is that if I want everyone to like me, I got to put them first. But the real issue, the real thing is, I needed to put myself first. First. That's when everything began to change around me. When I began to concern myself, make sure I was groomed properly. When I make sure my clothes was clean, that I was smelling good, had the proper cologne on, that clothes that can fit correctly. But once I begin to take care of my internal world and begin to take care of me, the world began to take care of me. I've said this many times in people in relationships. No one else, please give this. Y'all need to give this one, please. Why you must be number one in your world. No one else can love you past the point that you love yourself. Let me say that again for those in the back of the room, those who may be way over in Africa, those in Brazil, those over in Eastern Europe, no one can love you past the point that you love yourself. No one can love you past the point that you love yourself. Say it another way, LDA. No one can respect you past the point that you respect yourself. No one, say it another way, LDA. No one else can care for you the way that no one else can care for you the way you care for yourself. Care for you past the point that you care for yourself. Let me repeat it because you need to get this. You need to seal this deep inside of you. No one's going to love you past the point that you love yourself. This is where people get messed up in the game in life. They're looking for people to love them past the point that they don't even love their own selves. I feel that is a huge myth about being a leader or a father is we put everyone else before ourselves. That is very true. That is the biggest myth. You're no good as a leader. You're no good as a father. No good as a mother if you ain't taking care of yourself. How can I be there mentally, spiritually, and physically for my sons if I ain't take care of myself? If I'm not going to the dentist, if I'm not getting a checkup, if I'm not getting my blood work done, if I'm not getting things in place, I am no good to no one else unless I put myself first. No good. I'm no good as a content creator if I don't put myself first and study first. If I don't reason first, if I don't digest first, I am no good to you guys if I don't put things in proper order first. With the gems too. In fact, yeah. You're no good to no one if you don't put yourself first. I don't care what they say. I know everyone, oh, you got to put in the work, you got to do. No. You're no good to anyone. And the truth be told, let me tell you another, the real deal. Guys, you better pay attention. I know they didn't try to suck at you and try to get you. No woman, no respect. Let me say this correctly. No respectable woman, no woman who's on her P's and Q's and home business wants you to put her first. Let me say that again. No woman, no respectable woman, no woman who knows who she is wants you to put her first at the demise of you. If she does, you need to run. Y'all better, man, don't let that fly off your head. No woman wants a man that puts her first. I know this is contrary to what social media is saying and what some people in church may say, and when I've been married 1,500 years and no. If you neglect yourself, your stock, as my brother said, goes down. I know people don't, no. It don't work like that. No woman wants you to put her first. See how the numbers, people don't want to hear that. What happens is when you do that, you become, as we used to say back in the day, you become a bugaboo. That's the trick. Right. Good thing, because I'm not following a woman's direction. Oh, that's a trick. Right. But life is the same way. You can take the word woman out of there and put anything else. She wants that, and it's a goodbye. The moment you put her first is the moment she's saying bye bye. She's saying see you later, alligator. The same thing goes. Take woman out of there. Put job. No job wants you to put them first. They may tell you we got overtime, we got things going on, but you are no good to the job if you put them first and you neglect yourself. Men have a bad issue with doing that. I'm guilty of it, but men have a bad issue of putting that first. Oh, let me help some of my preachers and prophets and teachers and evangelists and pastors and everybody who listen. God did not call you to put the ministry first. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. Uh-oh. 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 It said Christ is married to the church, not you. That's his bride. Why are you trying to take God's? I done watched people burn their ministries, burn their jobs, burn their families when they put the ministry first and didn't put themselves first and what was important first. As they would say when I was younger, if I'm blind, I'm flying. I've watched it personally. Men who sacrifice their lives for their jobs, for their ministries, prophet, teachers, and all that. And guess what happened? Gone. Gone. Because they did not know how to prioritize themselves, or they are completely burnt out. I understand striving and moving forward, and God's calling you to do this, and you're supposed to do that. Guess what happens? You're no good to any church, anytime you prophesy, anything you do, if you are not taking care of yourself, if you don't put yourself first. You end up getting up on these cameras, saying some stuff that's foolish. You end up falling and slipping, and then you just slipped into another woman's bedroom while you with your wife, all kind of stuff. Why? Because you neglected you. Man, I don't know why somebody need to hear this, but this is for somebody. I don't know who it is, but I'm just saying. You're no good to your ministry. You're no good to your life. You're no good to your job if you don't take care of yourself. You need to take that vacation. You need to shut everything up. I don't want to hear nothing about that. I'm telling you, I've watched it. I done been 52 years around this earth, and I done seen it happen. People burn. Their life them burned out. Why? Because they didn't put the thing that was important. They put the wrong thing that was important, that should have been important, which was them. They got tunnel vision and they forgot that they needed to take care of the vessel or the person who was able to give into that. You cannot pour into something if you are empty. That's why you got to be number one in your life. You cannot pour into anybody else, into your woman, if you are the man, if you are empty. That means you take time to deal with you and to fill your cup. You take time to get yourself together. You take time to make sure that your health is together. You make sure that your wealth is together, that your paperwork is together. You are no good to anyone else. And I'm saying this to men because we are so tunnel vision. We start moving forward. We got to get this. And you don't take no time to get your mind together, get your spiritual side together, your physical side together at all. And then you get mad because you come to the end of your life and you realize that you then gave all this away. And guess what? You neglected yourself. If you're sick and weak, you can't do anything at full capacity. You can't. If you're sick and weak, you can't do anything at full capacity. You can't. Let me say that again because if you're sick and weak, you can't do anything at full capacity. Let me look at this one. What about a woman that puts herself first, like the career woman? Is there a compromise, or can there only be one? Great question. Let me digest that one. What about a woman that put herself first, like the career woman? Is there a compromise, or is it? Let me say something. Let me say something to that. There is always consequences, good or bad. So if a woman, in this context of what we're talking about, if the woman decides to put herself first, like a career woman, is there a compromise? Is there a compromise, or can there only be one? If she decides to do that, If she desires to be in a relationship or to have a relationship, she can still do that. But this is the thing. She can still decide, believe me, go ahead and work. Go out there and go after your career. Do the best thing you can do. But this is the thing. There will be a consequence. You will either have something and you will neglect something else. So you got to decide what's going to be important. So whether she will have to compromise somewhere, or there's going to be an understanding with the person that she with. Hey, babe, I'm going this direction. We're going in this direction. How do we merge together? Why do I follow where you're going? It's going to have to be a compromise. But let me get back to what Wade said, because it's really important. If you're sick and weak, you can't do anything at full capacity. Now, let me say this. If a woman decides to put her career first, put herself first, is there a compromise, and can only be one? I'm all for women putting their career first and doing that. This topic is much. I'm all for that. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I'm all for women doing that. But I must emphasize this. Even though she put her career first, I keep getting that there's a consequence, but she can't neglect herself. Because at the end of the day, what gets us all in trouble is this. We neglect our needs and our wants, and we hide them and we bury them inside of us. So even though she may have put her career and put what she wants first, what needs and wants, let's go for men too, are you neglecting when you put that first? I know many a career women. I know many of them, and they're doing good and successful. But at the same token, what things are they really fulfilling what they're doing? So one person, in particular, I know, one person I particularly know, they make sure that they make time to get their self together. They make time that they interact, they take vacations, they make sure that they treat themselves well. They balance themselves out with that. Or if this particular person doesn't have a man at the time, as I know of, they don't have a man. But if she did, this particular woman I know, who's a career woman, who's moving like this, she knows how to be flexible and adjust herself to flow with the man that she's with. She knows how to adjust herself. She's moving in a certain direction, but to make sure that she's taken care of and that her man is taken care of. I know this particular woman would do that. Everybody want to call me right now. I can't answer. So I want you to get this. This is so important. You must be number one in your life. You cannot put anything else above that. Like I said, I didn't see people shipwreck their careers, their lives. This the other thing. If you're guys who are married or want to get married, you cannot put really too much other things above yourself and your family. Honestly, people shipwreck their marriages, their wives, their kids, because I think of one individual right now. I ain't going to even say his name. I want to get involved in that. Who shipwrecked everything because he didn't realize how to put himself first. And what happens is you start looking on the outside for satisfaction instead of looking on the inside for satisfaction. And you find satisfaction first within and then without. And this is the other side of it. Now to think about it, now it's coming even clearer. People know you become an easy mark or easy target when you don't put yourself first. You open yourself up to be taken advantage of, or someone to see that they can easily come in your life and be number one. That can be a job, that can be a career, that can be parents, that can be anything, kids, because you have forgot to put yourself in your proper place. That's why it's so important for you to put yourself first. Let me see what my brother said right here. Why do people shame you for put let's sit the ship right here. Why do people shame you for putting yourself first? Let's dock right here. Let me repeat it again. Edwin Brown Cardio Talk. Why do people shame you for putting yourself first? I'll tell you why. People shame you for putting yourself first is because multiple reasons. The one first reason is they want you to put them first. And the easiest tactic to do is to shame you into putting them first. Second of all, the other reason is because they are not first in their lives. So they want somebody on the outside of them to put them first. Let me say that again. People shame other people who put other people. Why do people shame people who put people first, put themselves first? Is because you are now what? You are now not in the position. You are not putting them on the high esteem they think they should be. So the best way to try to beat you down is to shame you. Shame, guilt, and the need to be right. Sounds familiar? Sign language. And so what they do is, oh, you shouldn't put yourself first. They'll try to shame you. And if you take the bait and you begin to put them first, they got you and they go the other way. And they shame you also is because see, you can, the only reason why you shame somebody else to get them to feel a certain way because you don't feel that way about yourself. Let me say that again. The only reason why someone else shames somebody from putting themselves first is because they don't put themselves first. That's the only reason why they shame them. So what they do is they go around and talk about everybody else, shame everybody else because because they put themselves first. And because they have not, let me say it another way. The reflection of you putting yourself first reflects back to them of the lack of them putting themselves first. Makes very good sense now. A man will stand on his square if he knows who he is. Correct. Let me say that again. Your reflection of putting yourself first reflects back to them, and what because they're not putting themselves first, they really are not shaming you, they are shaming themselves. Let me really emphasize this. When someone else shames you about putting yourself first, it's not that they're shaming you, they're shaming themselves because they have not put themselves first. And so they're looking at the reflection of you putting yourself first. And it's reflecting back to them and it's making them feel a certain way. And they say the first thing they do is they want to lash out at you, but really they're lashing out at themselves. They're lashing out at who? They're not lashing out at you. I want you to realize this is going to free you up. They're lashing out at themselves. So you sit back and you sit back and I do it and side out laugh or I may chuckle. Oh, really? You're trying to shame me because I'm putting myself first. When the real issue is they have not put themselves first. You cannot shame. Think about it. You only shame something that you do not have, or you belittle, or you're trying to put down to make yourself feel better. That means you lack what you're shaming. That's why people who shame people who have money, it's a sure sign that they are broke or they have a poverty mindset. I can't believe they spent all that money on that meal. I can't believe they spent all that money on that car. If I had that money, I would have did this. They shouldn't be doing all that. It is a sure sign that they don't have the cash, money, moolah, dinero, wherever you want to call it. They don't have money. They shame what they don't have, what they lack in their lives. You can always tell when somebody shaming something, they don't have it in their life. Those who have it celebrate those who have it also. That's why I can give another man compliment without saying pause about his shoes or the outfit he got on. Because I know I have nice outfits and I like nice shoes or whatever the case may be. Because I have it. That's why it goes back to what we were just saying prior. I'm enough. Okay. When you are enough, you don't need to shame anybody else. Okay, great. Wonderful. Why? Because they are you just became a reflection to them of what they are lacking in their lives. Now, if you are the one shaming someone else because they're putting themselves first, you need to do a self-examination. Like, what is it about me? What is it about me that I'm mad or upset that this person put themselves first? What is it in me that, I can't believe they did that? You need to be like, okay. You now know, you now have ammunition to say, you know what, I know this person is lacking in this area. That's why they're shaming me. That's why they're doing that, because I put myself first. And you don't have to be arrogant with it. You just be very confident. You just be like, okay, great. When you hear me say, whenever I say somebody interact me, I say, okay, great. Oh, wonderful. Okay. You don't, let me say this. Let me take it another step further. I hope y'all ready for this. If someone is shaming you for putting yourself first, please listen to what I'm about to say. If someone shames you for putting yourself first, I want you to please listen to what I'm about to say. What you do now is you don't attack them, you don't defend yourself, you don't even rebuttal back to them. What you now do, because you are the God, because you realize that imagination is the playground of the gods, you go in your imagination in real time, right then, and begin, whilst they're shaming you for putting yourself first. You go within and you begin to see them putting themselves first. So you got to help them out. Y'all, please understand my instructions. If someone is shaming you for putting yourself first, or whatever the case may be, you in real time, you go within and you begin to, in your imagination, begin to see that person putting themselves first. And you play that whilst they talking, you ain't nothing, you this and this, and they running their mouth, they going back and forth. What you do is you go within And you begin to what? See that person putting themselves first. You get to hear, even if you had to go as far as hearing them say, you know what? I don't know why. All of a sudden, I just begin to put myself first and I feel so much better. Sometimes you got to help others get to where they need to be. I hope you guys understand what I just said because it's powerful. When someone is shaming you for putting yourself first and they verbalizing it and they're saying, don't argue, don't fight, don't rebuttal, go within and begin to, sometimes I can do it with my eyes closed, I can do it with my eyes open, and I begin to see that person put, like in this example, I begin to see that person begin to put themselves first, begin to love them, begin to appreciate themselves. When you do that, you are helping them on another level. Anytime you have to defend yourself, thank you, Wade. Anytime you have to defend yourself or defend, well, this is the reason why I put myself first. You should do it the same. No, 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 no. You don't do that. What you do is you go within and you begin to see that person putting themselves first, putting their health first, putting their appreciating themselves, putting themselves first, appreciating their health and their wealth and their eyes, whatever the case may be. You remember they came into your world and you can say, light be, and there was light. So you now, because you're putting yourself first, you have the ability to do what? To help somebody else put themselves first. And you don't even have to tell them that. You don't have to be so bold. My thinking. What's going on? You don't have to be so bold at drizzle. Right. You don't have to be so bold and say, yeah, you know what? I just put you first. I just helped you out by putting yourself first. No. You just smile, like, I helped you put yourself first. You just go inside within and put yourself first. You said the drizzle, huh? Right. You put a little drizzle on them. When you realize that, you realize how everyone around you is only reflecting what you think or what you see about yourself. So what you're really doing, say it another way, because they are criticizing or shaming you for putting yourself first, it is a part of you that you have not dealt with that you need to put some love on, or you need to adjust. Either the person adjusts or they walk away. Many times they adjust. I'm gonna tell you how this worked. I remember it was a particular person, our supervisor. Me and him could not get along. I said the story many times. We were, and I gotta you. I have a serious mouthpiece. I can tell you off with some very colorful words without even cussing. I will make you feel like you're smaller than the ant. I would treat you like the trash from last year. But the issue was not the supervisor. The issue was not what he was saying to me. The issue was I was putting what he said, what he was doing first. And I highlighted it or I uplifted it and I put it up on a pedestal. I can't believe he's saying that about me. Man, if he knew where I was, I'm from this life. I can do this. I started putting everything he said first instead of putting what I thought about myself first. The moment I begin to change and stop going after him and start adjusting me, guess what happened? He began to adjust because he began to reflect what I am about myself. Y'all ain't ready for that. So what I did was I went inside like, you know what? This guy's saying all this stuff about me. True, false, or indifferent. I said, let me adjust me. Let me go inside. Let me start loving who I am. Let me say I'm enough. Let me say that I appreciate you, Lawrence. I like your eyes. I like your ears. I like who you are. You are a good worker. You are on time. You are expedient. You do everything with great. I appreciate you. The moment I begin to put myself first and acknowledge who I am, guess what happened? He adjusted to what he seen, what I was saying to myself. It's like a little birdie heard the thoughts that I was saying and took the message and gave it to him. So I adjusted who I was because I was putting everything else he was saying first. Man, you're no good. You're lazy. You're black. You're white. You're this. I kept putting everything he said first, instead of putting who I know I am. And this is the thing, he was saying one thing, I was looking to prove him wrong. I was looking to prove him what? Wrong. The moment I stopped looking to prove him wrong, thank you, I took back the power. I took control. Yep, facts right there, Wade. I took control. I stopped putting what he said on a pedestal. I stopped putting on what he thought about me on a pedestal. I stopped replaying what we said and words we were going back and forth. And I began to put the right thing on the pedestal, on the right place. You know what? You know what, Lawrence? You're a good guy. You are on time. You're expedient. You're fast. You're attentive. You have your right tools. You do things right. I started to put that first and begin to push that what he was saying off of the pedestal. And anything that was valid that he was saying, I made sure I adjusted inside of me and in my work life. That's why a lot of people can't handle marriage or relationships. That's why a lot of men are scared of relationships and marriage because she's only going to reflect what's inside of you. Let me say that like I'm very snooty, snob. She's only going to reflect what's inside of you. She's only going to reflect what's inside of you. If you adjust you, she will adjust. Remember, you are the sun, she's the moon. The moon only reflects to the earth what the sun is. That's why you must put yourself first. If you put someone on the pedestal, they have no choice but to look down on you. Wow. I like that. If you put someone on the pedestal, they have no choice but to look down on you. Yep. I'm gonna let that for those in the back of the room, they need to hear this. If you put someone on the pedestal, they have no choice but to look down at you. Just like that, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. You're looking down. Oh, you poor lad. I wish you well. Here's some bread and water. Hopefully the bread will expand in your stomach when you drink it with water. When you put someone on a pedestal, they have no choice but to look down at you. And many of us, I put everything else on the pedestal. And you wonder why you're feeling and thinking this way because you would put her, your job, you put everything else on the pedestal and not realize that you need to kick everything off of the pedestal and step back in your proper position. And I know a lot of people are wondering why have you said pick God on the pedestal? I'm glad you asked. Why didn't you say, you need to pick God? God should be the first thing in your life, LDA. And you know I believe in God. But if you know where God is, when you step back in your position of back on the pedestal, you put God back in his proper place in your life. When you put when you step back in your proper place, you put God back in his proper place. Oh boy, that can go over some people's head. Flight number 456, right over somebody's head. When you put yourself back in your proper place, you put God back in his proper place in your life. Because God is not out there, he's always within. And some of you are doing a disservice to God because you are not putting, you're putting wood in, you're putting, boy, I almost slipped out. You're putting, you're putting booty cheeks, you're putting cars, homes, everything else before God. The same spirit that rose Christ from the dead lives in me. Facts. The same spirit that rose Christ from the dead lives in me. So how does it look if God is putting anything else on the throne? Uh-oh. Gotcha. How does that look if God put anything, God to say, hey man, I'm God, and he's putting what he created on the throne? Y'all, that can go over your head. How does it look? The God of the universes, all living beings, is putting what he created on a throne above him. How does it look if the God of all earth, heaven, above and beneath, the sun and the moon, Mars and Jupiter and Saturn, and every other place, every other planet that we don't see beyond this solar system, and he puts those things in his place on the throne? Everything would go out of sorts. Why? Because it's not in proper positioning. The same thing is for you. Why are you putting everything else first instead of sitting in your proper positioning in on the throne? When you do that, everything comes in alignment. Your world becomes in alignment when you are in proper positioning in the throne or on the pedestal, not to be worshiped. Let me say that again. Not to be worshiped as a God, but to be recognized that I'm in proper positioning of who I am. This is the things why we see a lot of men going sideways on these on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, in these streets, TMZ, and everything like that. They're out of position. Their solar system is out of positioning. While they are hovering around the moon should be orbiting them. That is the reason why I have not said pick God on the pedestal. Because if you pick God on the pedestal, you should be sitting right next, right there. That's what is wrong with a lot of Christians. They don't know their positioning, so they act like paupers. I don't know why I want to act snooty today or like I'm a snob, but they don't know their positioning. They don't know how to be number one in their life. If you don't put yourself first, no one else will. If you don't put yourself first, no one else will do it. Let me help someone in the back of the stadium, back of the room. If you don't put yourself first, no one else will do it. You can't get mad at anyone else but you. I gave some reasons earlier on how to put yourself first. What do? And this is the thing. This is the thing. If you gotta say this statement, you know you're not first. You're not first in your life. If you say this statement, you know that you have not put yourself first. And I said it earlier. I'm gonna say it again. You know, I put myself first in my life.
Execute Order 66.
If you got to announce that you need people to put yourself first in your life, it's a sure sign that you do not put yourself first. If you got to get people, man, you need to put me first. I'm the man. I'm the this. It's a sure sign. If you got to put your title, you got to put, I'm the doctor of all doctors. I'm the old. It's a sure sign that you ain't put yourself first in your life. I must emphasize this, especially towards men. If a woman is trying to pull you away from putting yourself first, she potentially is not the woman for you. So I had to slow that down because I want you to hear the words that are coming out of if a woman or anyone, but I'm gonna say woman because I know it's triggering, is trying to make her number one in your life, she is not there. She is not for you. Run quickly. Turn away fast. Don't worry about her. What rhymes with fast? Run fast. Anything that's trying to make you put them first, run very fast. A real woman will want you to put yourself, your dreams, and things first. Why? She knows if you put those things in yourself first, she's going to reap the benefits of being there for you. Let me say that again because y'all didn't hear. Y'all ain't responding in the chat room. Everybody went. Got quiet. Run from the woman who wants you to put her first. Celebrate the woman who knows how to put you first. She reaps the benefits of her putting you first. Why? Because she recognizes that you put yourself first and she celebrates that, you have no problem pouring back to her easily and effortlessly. You have no problem giving back to her. The problem is you keep running across women who want you to put them first. That's a problem. That's the issue. Well, all women are like that. No, not all women are like that. There's some women who understand their assignment and understand that they are a helpmate, and the helpmate understands her positioning. And when she understands, if she's helping you, she's gonna eat good too. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Please say something in the chat room because y'all ain't saying nothing now. Y'all got quiet when I said something about that. Put yourself first. Choose someone who Understand you putting yourself first. When you do, you have no problem pouring back into her. It becomes a reaction. It becomes automatic. You pour back into her. Baby, how can examples? I heard you say that. How do you know someone, baby, how can I help you with your when your manuscript? What do you need help with in doing this? How can I assist you in that way? How, did you get your water yet? Did you take your vitamins? Hey, did you make sure that we have she's there? She's I'm not saying that she's less. I'm saying she's assisting you on your purpose and the direction that you're going. Guess what happened? She's making it so that you have no problem pouring back into her. Me and my purpose are in the front seat. Everything else is in the back seat. She's nestling. I'm telling you, I'm saying from example, I'm saying from my life. When women did that for me, oh baby, what you need? I was singing. I was singing Tony, Tony, Tony. Whatever you want. I'll start singing that. Ready or not. Why? Because I understand my position and she understood hers, and we were going in a certain direction. You don't mind pouring when someone else is pouring into you. But when someone comes from the place of take, you need to do this for me. We need to go out to dinner. We need to do all this. It will drive you up a wall. You will go crazy. You will lose your freaking man. I know what I'm talking about. This doesn't just go for women. This goes for anybody in your life. And I'm saying being selfish, that kind of stuff, but you got to be also selfish enough that you're able to help them, push them to where they need to be at. Any man knows this. I don't know why somebody need to hear this game right here. A man that's able to teach a woman something new that he can help her be a better woman who pours inside of her, a woman would tell you that's the most sexiest thing. Why? Because you put yourself first and you have no problem with that, but you're able to pour inside of her. And so what you do, let me elevate your consciousness, baby. Let me elevate your mind while I'm giving you my time. Let me show you how to put on a certain dress a certain way. So when you walk down the street, you look this way. As much as you hear the opposite, they want to be led. But you can't do that from the position of being a second-class citizen. You can't do that being in the back of the seat. You got to be able to drive with your vision and where you're going to. I'm telling you, like the back of my hand. Women crave a man who's able to pour inside of them and make them better versions of who they are, but also who's able to be honest with them and tell them the honest to God and truth. You can only do that when you put yourself first, because you're not moved by her emotions. You're not moved by her tears. You're not moved by what she feels. You only move by telling the truth because you put yourself first. She will respect you while she would despise the man who's trying to kiss up to her. She will respect you because you are honest enough to say, hey, this is what it is and where we're going. Hey, this is the direction I'm some things I'm putting first. I got to do. But when you give her your time it becomes valuable because she realized that you're not tricking off time to just anybody else. You're giving the most valuable thing that you can give. One of the most valuable thing you can give a woman is your time and your attention. Is your what? Time and your attention. And if you are very intentional about your time and your attention, you're going to respect yourself, but she's going to respect you, and she's not going to take it for granted because you know you can snatch it away anytime. But you can't do that when you don't put yourself first. Men who don't put themselves first normally give away their time and attention to every Susie Q, Brenda, Shakika, Allison out there. Because they don't put themselves first. You trick off your time and your attention, and that's why she does not value it, and she don't value and don't even like you. And she look at you as just another one of the guys that's trying to orbit her life. But when you put yourself first and you're number one, she knows that when you talk to her, oh, you know what? I got his full attention and he's giving me everything he has. It's a difference. That's why men, I'm saying put yourself first. Let me speak to the women that's out there. You must also put yourself first. Stop falling for dirty Dick Danny. Every man that tells you, oh, you know, I like your hair. You so is cute. And can I take you out somewhere? Stop falling for let me speak to the women. Stop falling for every guy that comes. When you don't put yourself first, you fall for every dusty, no good guy who means you no good. I'm saying it because I got nieces. You so look cute. Is he going the direction that you're going in? Gotta cut him off. I know what I'm saying. You got to learn to put yourself first. I know the world is saying, don't put yourself first. Put us first. Put Apple first. Put Instagram first. Put Facebook first. Put this first. You got to learn to put yourself first. When you do that, the rewards will outlive the sacrifices that you made. That's why I said before, I want everybody who's watching me, put in this chat room, I am enough. Everyone right now put in the chat room, I am enough. Everyone in the chat room put, I am enough. If you're listening to the sound of my voice, you need to put in the chat room, I am enough. I put myself first. I am enough. Anything that you put after I am is a powerful thing. I am enough. Anything that we talked about putting God in his proper place. The name of God is I am enough. I am enough. I'm enough. I am enough. I put myself as number one. I'm number one in my world. I'm enough. Once someone realizes that you are enough, they only add to your life. They don't take away. Because I am enough. You don't come off needy or wanting things. I gotta get that, I gotta get that kitty cat. No, I'm enough. When you do that, it changes the whole narrative. See, only two people. Thank you, two people. Thank you, two brothers who put that in there. I'm enough. I appreciate that. When you realize that you're enough, it changes everything around you. You must be number one in your life. So this week, this is the thinking class. It's because of the thinking class. I don't want you to just only think about this. I want you to exercise this weekend. So almost for 48 hours, I want you to realize, I want you to say to yourself, I'm going to put myself first this for 48 hours. For 48 hours, I want you to put yourself first for 48 hours. Not in a selfish, forget this narcissist word, but put yourself first in your life. You say, I like you. It's time to go into the laboratory. It's time to go there. It's time to go put your white coat. Everybody get their white coats on. Yep, it's time to put your white coats on. Put your gargles on. Put your gargles on. Make sure you got your protective PPE on. We're going into the lab. And the lab is actually your world. So I want you to get your white coat on. I want you to go into your imagination of you putting on the white coat. I want you to make sure you got your gloves on. Put your gloves on. Make sure you got your eyewear so you protect your eyes. Make sure you got something to protect your head because you're going into the lab. The lab is your what? Imagination. You're going into your mind. You're going into your world. And I want you to go into your world and I want you to see, I want you to say to you, see, I want you to go into the world, your world. And I want you to look at the table. And as you look at the table, it is another version of you laying across the table. So I want you to get that. You got your white coat on. White coat on. You got your gloves on. Put your gloves on. You got your goggles on. You got your headgear on. And you're entering into the lab. And as you enter into the lab, you see on the table is a reflection of you. It is you. It is another version of you. And as you look at the other version of you, I want you to take your gloves and I want you to put it across your chest, first on the head of the version of you, and say to that version, I am enough, or he or she is enough. Let me get this. Let me tell you what to do this weekend. Go put your lab coat on. Going into the lab of your life. Gloves on, eyewear on, got your cap on, and you see on the table that you're laying across the table. And as you put your hands on your head or on your chest, you're saying what? You're saying to the version of you laying across the table, you are enough. The lights start to shake. You are enough. You do that, you play that scene over really quick, several times, and in the course of the day, you'll say to yourself, you are enough. When you do that, when you go in, I just gave somebody asked me, how do you do this? I just told you what to do. You got your white coat on, got your gloves on, you're going into your imagination, you are enough. And as you say that, you see the body jump up on the table and it sits up straight. And every time you say you are enough, you see it get more life. You see the legs start moving, the hands start moving. You start seeing the arms start moving, neck start turning. Every time you say you are enough to the version of you or the version of you that was on the table. And every time you say you are enough, it started to move. And it becomes more animated as you say to that version of yourself, you are enough. Watch what happens if you do what I just said do. You say, well, that don't seem right. That's not in the Bible. The Bible says, David said he encouraged himself. Bing, 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 bing. So everybody want to say, well, that in the Bible. That's like some kind of hocus pocus. It ain't no. The Bible said David encouraged himself when he was backed against the wall. He and the men, they were dying and everything else happened. And the army was coming after him. Saul was trying to kill him and all like that. What did he say? I encouraged myself in the Lord. All I did was give you an vivid imagination of you with the white coat on, gloves on. Here, eye protective, and you got your little thing on your head, and you're seeing yourself on the what? On the table, and you're saying every time you're saying you are enough, you're actually getting up. I will let you know next week, Friday, my results. Aha! Thank you so much. Receipts, baby, receipts. Amazing imagination. Yeah. Thank you. This is what I'm talking about. I will let you know next Friday my results. Thank you. This man gets it. This man gets it right here. When you're able to go down and say, I am enough. You do it in the morning when you first wake up, and you do it at night, and then you let it go. Do it in the morning, doing it right before you go to sleep. You might go to do it a couple of times, but go on to sleep. Let me know what your results will be. Let me know what this is the thing I'm looking for. Your results and how others will begin to treat you, or how your world begin to change around you. How the world will begin to change around you when you what? Do this simple technique of putting yourself first and saying, I am enough. Watch as your perception of the world, your world begin to what? Change right before your eyes. Because you're saying to yourself, you are enough. Not nobody else saying it, not your mama, not your cousin, not your father, not your little brother, not your big sister, whatever. You saying it to yourself, you are enough. You're seeing yourself you're seeing in your imagination, which is the playground of the gods, you are enough. When you do that, and you can feel it, and you see the version of you getting up and moving and becoming animated, guess what? It's going to affect your world. Now, with that being said, when this broadcast ends, in the comments, all I need you to do is say, I am enough. When this broadcast, I'm about to end it. When this broadcast ends, I want you to simply say, put in the comments, I am enough. We need to let YouTube know that we are enough over here. LDA, you're not worried about the numbers and the likes and all like that? Nope, because I know this. I know my channel is not for everyone. It's not for everyone. I'm not trying to reach the masses. Well, you should be trying to. Nope. I'm only reaching the people who resonate with what I talk about. Well, you should be doing this. You should be doing that. Nope. I am enough. I am satisfied in who I am because I'm number one in my world. I am enough. You should be doing that. You should, if you do, I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. In the comments after this video ends, simply put, I am enough. Nothing else. I am enough. When you do that, you're saying to yourself and for everyone to see that I am enough. Now remember, I'm going to repeat one more time for those in the back of the room that really get this. The homework this week, the homework is simple. Before you go to bed and when you wake up, or you can do it in the course of the day, you see yourself putting on your white robe, white coat. See yourself putting on your gloves. You see yourself putting on you feel yourself putting on your eyewear and your little thing to cover your head. You're going into the laboratory, you go into the lab, and you see yourself laying